Americans are discovering the tea time alarm.
Something really interesting we've noticed about England. They actually have specific designated times where they have to drink tea.
A British national alarm that has gone hugely viral on TikTok because non-Brits are confused about whether it's real. Well, it is.
Tea time alarm's gone off. I'm late, I went out for a walk. It's the tea alarm. That's the tea alarm.
You're late, yeah, I know.
My mum's gone out and it's about to be the tea alarm.
Well, the tea time alarm's just gone off again, bloody hell.
The Americans are only just finding out about the tea time alarm.
It's always been a British thing.
And the story behind it is pretty fascinating. We have all the info and all the best viral moments right here on Scroll Deep with me, Benedict Townsend, a show that keeps up with internet nonsense so you don't have to. British people and tea. It's like a dog with a bone, a cat with a ball of yarn, an Andean night monkey with a ripened ficus fruit. They just go together. So much so that there has been a ton of videos about the so-called tea time alarm, a national alarm that sounds throughout the UK, alerting its citizens that it's time to drink some tea or face consequences. Now, this is actually something that's been discussed online for a number of years. This video, for example, is from 2023.
A lot of you know we have a thing called a tea time alarm in the UK.
And the number one question that everyone is asking, especially Americans, is this real? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is real. So let's run down a brief history of the tea time alarm. So let's jump to 1890 when the first tea time alarms were trialled in various major cities. But it wasn't until 1922 and what is commonly known as the Tea Time Act that the alarm was officially put into law, requiring, and I quote, all British subjects of virtue true to heed the governmental alarm sounded at the 3rd hour post-noon, lest they be subject to these hitherto outlined sanctions. In other words, obey the alarm or be punished. Or as the saying goes, we all learn this in school, obey the alarm or face harm. Everyone knows it. It's like the first thing you learn in school. And from then on, the alarm has sounded daily, basically every day since, apart from a few special occasions like VE Day, the end of World War II in Europe, when it was sounded every hour on the hour in celebration. And now, continuing the tradition, the alarm sounds every day, as many British TikTokers have been documenting. But what happens when you don't heed the alarm? Well, obviously, as the rhyme goes, you will face harm. You're punished. And this varies depending on what part of the UK you're from, but the standard punishment ranges from a fine to sometimes corporal punishment.
Penalty charge notice there from Lincoln City. Instructions how to pay.
You're not going to lose your life because you missed the alarm, not since the late 90s, but it can be quite serious. In fact, some TikTokers have documented different punishments they've heard of or indeed received. There was one TikToker in tears because she got a £100 fine for missing the alarm. I mean, in the grand scheme, that's not bad. There has been a bit of backlash in the UK because one of the things that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, campaigned on was that he wasn't going to raise the tea time alarm fines, but apparently they are going to go up in April because of inflation and other stuff. That's just another cost that's going up for British people. Something I've really enjoyed is the different approaches from around the country. Like I said to a friend from up north, I said, obey the alarm or face harm. And he'd actually never heard that one. He had a whole different one. Maybe in the comments you could leave the one that you learned in school, because I think different people from around the country learn different ones. So if you could just let me know your favorite ones. Also, I was reminiscing. Do you guys remember those videos? Maybe you're too young for videos, but they used to show these VHSs in school that were educational things about the alarm. And I am still traumatized to this day by what happens to that badger, but I've always obeyed the alarm. I am what's commonly known as an alarm swat because I have actually never missed an alarm in my life. I don't think it's that hard to not miss it, especially because it's so ingrained and sometimes beaten into you. Now, some people have been asking, are there exceptions? Are there technicalities? There are basic rules around this. Most people are not bound by it until you're roughly 12. It's not officially set out, but 12 is when you're seen as mature enough to take part in the alarm. Some of the other exceptions, you're not bound by the alarm if you're unconscious. I think technically you're not bound by the alarm if you're underwater, but I think that mainly actually doesn't apply to submariners because they have tea-making facilities. It's vague when it comes to aeroplanes if they're crossing international borders and stuff like that. There's also that, that urban legend that you're allowed to ask a policeman for his hat to brew a tea in if you haven't got tea-making. Apparently that's an urban myth, that's not real. But obviously policemen in their belt do have emergency tea bags if you need to be tea-bagged by a policeman at any time. Now, we usually record this in the morning, but we've done it closer to time because I think... There we go. In this case, I often have someone bring me a tea. Thank you very much. Also, as established in Johnson versus Crown, 2004, a biscuit dipped in tea and then eaten does count as consumed tea. I remember that they televised that trial. That was huge. Now, one thing I've seen as well is people saying that this is fake because the alarms in people's videos are different. They're different alarm sounds. First of all, please don't call my culture fake. But second of all, this is well known. I mean, different areas of the UK, but even in London, each specific borough has its own alarm, and every year we vote for the alarm sound. Most boroughs keep the alarm sound the same, but yeah, depending on where you are, even in different cities, you're going to hear different tea alarms. It's the most obvious solution. I don't know if people can be allergic to tea or whatever, but there are a few exceptions that are allowed. You have to go to the TVLA, you have to fill out a million forms, get like an exception card, and that way they're not gonna, the people aren't gonna lock you up or whatever, but like, the last thing you ever want to be dealing with is the tea. We've all had the experience of a Sunday afternoon at the TVLA trying to get through the queues. It's just the worst. So there we have it. If you are British, what is your favorite tea time alarm memory? Which area has your favorite alarm? What is your favorite tea time alarm related phrase? Just, let's talk tea time alarm down below. It's kind of crazy that we don't talk about this more, really. It's such a huge part of British life. It's just like a cultural difference. Like, Americans, they'll like in school, they'll stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the tea time alarm. Except obviously the Pledge of Allegiance is not real. It's like a hoax. I'm Benedict Townsend, and this has been Scroll Tea. And now we come to the secret question for people at the end of the show who have the best attention spans. Well done. And that is this. What is the largest thing you've ever broken? Is it a Lego Millennium Falcon? Is it a femur? Let me know in the comments down below. Till next time, obey the alarm or face harm. I'm Benedict Townsend, and that's tea-ness. Americans are discovering the tea time alarm, a British... Oh, and from then on, the alarm has sounded daily, basically every day since, except for a few special occasions like VE Day, the end of World War II in Europe. Sorry, all of it's just hit me at once. And the alarm has sounded daily. Sorry. Apart from a few occasions like VE Day, the end of World War II in Europe, when it... the end of World War II. I don't know what... Sorry, it's so silly. All the tennis man does is eat hot chip and lie. I will say I am what is commonly... emergency tea bags. If you need to be teabagged by a policeman at any time. Yeah, but if you're delivering the baby...
Baby needs to drink tea.
If your mother is giving birth, that's not an excuse. But if you are a midwife holding the baby, that's okay. But the baby has to be given an IV drip of tea. That's tea-ness. That's tea-ness. That does sound like, yeah. That penis would be the slogan of a different show that would also be called Scroll Deep.